This is the record of 21 vital days in the Western Desert. The days in which the Libyan battlefront lurched eastward with a crazy non-stop rush from Bir Hackim to the Nile Delta, swung from the burning desert to the outposts of Alexandria. An armored car patrol between El Adem and Bir Hackim. They spot a German car separated from its column and the driver comes out to surrender. Major General Pinaar at the South African Division headquarters gives an interview to the world's press and newsreels. Correspondents here include Alan Moorhead and Alex Clifford. And here in a lull in the fighting is Richard Dimbleby, BBC Observer. He's arranged a broadcast home from men who've just returned from one of the fiercest tank battles. After 14 days continuous action against the Panzers, they had a cheery word for families at home and went back to work. Men from London, Glasgow, Richmond, Manchester, Croydon and Ilfracombe. June the 10th. The battle continues with undiminished fury. Not least worthy of praise are the men they call doctors of the dust, the frontline RAMC men whose job it is to get the wounded out of the battle line for treatment. They haven't the satisfaction of holding a weapon to hit back with, but they look after the casualties and bring them to first aid posts for rough dressing. And so, after the first treatment, the ambulances take them back to the base. Hours on duty with no sleep, the strain of the drive amid the burst of shell fire and the whistle of bullets. June the 10th at Bir Hackim. Under General Koenig, a gallant band of free Frenchmen held out against the most intensive attacks Rommel could hurl against them. Foreign legionaries, true to their tradition, they hung on until ordered to withdraw, holding up the drive against Tobruk. They mostly disdained steel helmets, preferring the picturesque cap of the Foreign Legion. At last they received the order to withdraw after 16 days in hell, after almost unceasing dive bombing, many of them veterans of 30 campaigns. 2 years almost to the day since great France fell, they are a word of hope and courage to their prostrate motherland. That was the end of the first phase in this Battle of Libya. On June the 13th, disaster overtook the 8th Army. Out of 300 tanks in the fighting at daybreak, only 70 remained at nightfall. Things went wrong. The full story of that day is yet to be told, but it began a long retreat which ended well inside the boundaries of Egypt. On the 18th of June, the army was still falling back, a long procession that was not to be halted until the stand at El Alamein. We had inflicted heavy casualties and taken prisoners, and many of our men given up for lost came through the enemy lines, like this Sergeant Major in a captured German Volkswagen. On Saturday and Sunday, the 20th, 21st of June, 6 divisions of Germans and Italians fell upon Tobruk. These are some of the few men who escaped from that stronghold whose capture was one more heavy reverse against the 8th Army. On the morning of the 23rd of June 1942, units holding the Sollum Hellfire Zone began evacuating, joining the long road of retreat towards Mersa Matruh. South African armored cars, Indian Army armored units and AK and 25-pounder batteries. Covering the retreat were Grant tanks, much reduced in numbers, operating southwest. In all this retreat there was one good feature, strong Army-RAF cooperation. Columns protected by aircraft from attacks by Rommel's air arm. This was the 25th of June, and on that date command of operations was taken over by General Auchinleck. On him now rests the great responsibility of the outcome of the Battle of Egypt. "26th of June. After the fall of Sollum, the 8th Army withdrew to Mersa Matruh. Before the war, a happy holiday resort, as pleasant a watering place as any on the coast of North Africa. But for 2 years it has been the target of Axis bombers. Cars were streaming through it on this 26th of June. Cars and artillery and infantry reinforcements. time even Matruh was too hot to hold. Auchinleck decided to fall back still further to El Alamein, where a new defense line was being thrown up between the coast and the impassable desert south of El Dava, the Qattara Flats. And though we hope we've learnt in every campaign from Norway to Malaya that no land is impassable, it's here that the retreat was halted. A regrouped army, backed up by relentless day-night strafing by RAF bombers, fighter bombers and fighters. It's here the 8th Army turned and stood to face the armored might of Rommel's oncoming men. With Egypt, the naval base at Alexandria, and all the strategy of the Middle East at stake. Desperate days, as desperate as Dunkirk. Another tough chapter of history, being written in letters of blood on a burning waste of sand.